class, the first thing you need to do is you need to go to aplusstudents.com. You need to go to the website. Then you need to select math as your subject. This is a grade 9's lesson, grade 9. And the topic for today is linear inequalities. The term linear means straight line, right? In a straight line, okay? So we will be considering inequalities that are forming straight lines. I'll give you the chapter number. The chapter number is 8 and the lesson number is 5 for today. The chapter number is 8 and the lesson number is 5 for today. And the name of the chapter is Graph a two variable, okay, linear inequality. So before we start doing the question, we need to see what inequalities are. The given inequality, okay, just a moment. Let's log in. Let's go to the grade 9. Let's go to grade 9, the topic, chapter number 8, lesson number 5. Okay. So once we have opened it, let's see what inequalities are. The inequalities can be greater than, greater than, equal to, less than, and less than equals to. Okay. How do we know which value is greater or which value is lesser? Let's have a look. If I say the number 2 and 3. So if 2 is less, that means the open end goes towards 3. So we say 2 is less than 3, right? But this same statement can be written differently also. So if we have 3 and 2, that means 3 is greater than 2, right? So both the statements we'll write down over here. We'll say 2 is less than 3, right? We agree on this because the closed end is towards a smaller value. The open end is towards a bigger value. Or we can say that 3 is greater than 2, right? So either of these statements are true. Okay, so and what we need to remember is the difference between, and when we are doing graphs, whenever we have the sign greater than equal or less than equal, if we have these two signs, we make a bold line, right? And if we have less than sign or we have a greater sign, we draw it as a dotted line. Dotted line represents that the values, that particular value is not included. Whereas a bold line will show that that particular value is included, right? So this is just the basics. We saw that there are 4 types of inequality signs. 2 is less than 3 would be exactly the same as 3 is greater than 2. Whenever we have an equal sign with an inequality on the graph, we will draw a bold line. A bold line means non-dotted line, a regular line. And when we don't have an equal sign, we make a dotted line. Okay. So this is the initial information we need to remember. Now let's see if we have, how can we do the graphing of this? Okay. Okay. If we have the question number 1, I'll just put down the question number 1 over here. Okay. And it says select an inequality is given to us and they're asking us to shade a region in it. Select a region to shade, right? In mathematics, we don't shade like we would do in in other subjects, we draw lines. I'll show you how the shading is done for question number one. Given that the given inequality is this, okay, x is greater than equals to 6. Okay, we know that this is an xy axis. On an xy axis, if x is greater than or equals to 6, right? So this can be written as either x is greater than 6 or x is equals to 6. So whenever we have x is equals to 6, can we say that at this point x would be 6, right? That means at this point the coordinate is 6 comma 0. If I move up any other point, can I say this is 6 comma 4? Let's go here. Can we say this is 6 comma 10 on either sides? That means the value of 6 is constant throughout this vertical line. So when we draw this vertical line, we can draw this line over here, right? And since this had an equal sign, we leave this line as a bold line, right? Because it has an equal line. So this is the equation for x is equals to 6. What they are saying is graph this inequality, plot the points, and shade a region. So what we can say is the value of x can be 6 or more than 6. That means it could be 7, it could be 8, it could be 9 or 10. That means we shade the region that is greater than 6, which has the values which are greater than 6. Okay, do we agree on this? Any questions related to this? Okay, so let's try another example. This is y. This is an equation in terms of y, and the question says, I would say, I'll just copy this. So the question number 2 says, this is the given information for question number 2. Okay, and what we can say is select and shade a region. Just a moment, please. If this is the given information, this is the given inequality. This inequality, we can see that in question number 2, it simply says y is less than -2, right? Where do we find the value of y? We don't have an equal sign over here. So no equal sign. That means the line will be a dotted line. That means -2, y is equals to -2 will not be included. Okay. So we need to find where the value of y is -2. Can we say this is -2 over here? The coordinate for this point would be 0, -2, right? If I take a point over here, this would be 4, -2. If I take another point over here, this would be 10 and -2. Similarly, if we move to this side, this would be -6 and -2. What we can see on these points is that the -2 of the y is constant throughout, right? And we know that since there is no equal sign, then we draw dotted lines. Okay, if we draw a dotted line here, we can say that this equation of this line is y is equals to -2. Agreed? And they are saying we need to shade the area, or we need to shade the region where y is less than -2. So what is a value that is lesser than -2? If we go towards the positive axis, it will be greater than -2, right? So that means we need to go towards the negative axis. That means this region will represent the area, or will represent the inequality that is less than -2, because we have -4, -6, -8, -10, and so on. The values below the axis are smaller in size, right? So we shade this area. Do we agree? Any questions for this? Any questions up till now? We need to remember is that for now we are doing a horizontal line or a vertical line. If the equation is in terms of x, it would be a line parallel to the y-axis. If the equation is in terms of y, then the line would be parallel to the x-axis. Okay? If it's a single variable. Okay? So let's have a look at the next question. The question number 3 says, let me just copy. Graph this inequality, plot the points, select the dotted line. Just a moment, please. Okay, for question number 3, it gives us this given information. We are given this information and they are, let me just realign this. Plot the points on the line. This is the given inequality. They're saying we need to draw it on the graph. For question number 3, the given inequality is x is less than equals to 3. See, when right now I told you a while ago that whenever the equation is parallel, is it in terms of y only, then it is parallel to the x-axis. When the equation is x only, then it is parallel to the y-axis, right? Agreed? So this is vice versa. Equation in x parallel to y, equation in y parallel to x. So let's see what happens over here. This is an equation of x. That means it should be something parallel to y, right? We need to find, and it says x is less than 3 and x is equals to 3, right? This inequality can be broken down into these values over here. So where can we find x3? X is 3 over here. So on this, can we mark any other point? Can we say this is 3 comma 4? Can we mark another point? Can we say this is 3 comma 9? And at the bottom, if we say, can we say this is 3 and -5? That means what we can see is the value of x is constant throughout, right? The value of x was constant throughout the inequality, and this was the given inequality. Let's try to join the line. Since it has an equal sign, it will not be a dotted line, it will be a bold line. So what are the numbers which can we find a number that is less than 3? A number that is less than 3 would be, there are two options, right? 3, if we are making a line at 3, either it could be 2 or it could be 4, right? But we know that 4 is greater than 3. 4 is greater than 3, but 2 would be, we can say 2 is less than 3, right? -2 is less than 3, and so on. That means we need to shade an area. We need to shade this region over here. And we usually shade by drawing lines in mathematics, okay? So this is the area or the region that satisfies or that justifies this given inequality. Okay? Any questions till now? Do we have any questions? If there are, please let me know. Okay. Moving on to the next question. The next question says, graph this inequality, x is less than equals to 5. Okay. I'm just copying the question on the screen. So for this given question, if it says, we need to find this, okay, and this given information is given to us, okay. Question number 4, graph the inequality and the inequality states that x is less than equals to 5. Okay, if this says x is less than, I just make this less than. Let's remove the equal sign. Okay, let's keep it as less than. That means this needs to be a dotted line because it doesn't have an equal anymore next to it. Whereas x5, we know that the value of x is 5 over here. It would be 5 comma 4. This is 5 comma 0. Or if we take a point over here, this would be, sorry, 5 and negative 9. So what we can say is the value of 5 is constant for x on all these points. And once we join these points together, right? But we cannot make a bold line. Why? Because we can see that there is no equal sign. So what we have to do is we have to make a dotted line. Okay, how do we make a dotted line? We just simply draw them. Okay, we make dashes. Dashes would represent a dotted line. That means a dash represents a dotted line. That means that this value of x is not included. Okay, okay, we need to find a number that x is less than 5. We need to take a region. That means we need to select a number that is less than 5. Can is 2 is 2 less than 5, or is 8 less than 5? 2 is less than 5. 8 is not less than 5. That means we take this region and we simply shade this area. Okay, because this was true. Any value on the left hand side of the line x is equals to 5 will have a value. We label this as x is equals to 5. This was x is equals to 3. We simply label it this line so that when we look at this line, we will know that this is the line x is equals to 5, which is not included because there is no equal sign. And we need to shade the area that is less than 5. That means we go for the value 4, 3, 2. We shade the area on the left hand side, okay, of the graph. Let's look at another example. It says graph the inequality. Just a moment, please. I'll just copy paste. This is question number 5. Let's say this is question number 5. I'll just rearrange this. The inequality given is this. And the statement, one statement I need to add. Let me get this statement. Okay, if we have all the information that we require, they're asking us to graph this inequality, that is y is greater than negative 4, right? The first thing we need to do is we need to see the variable. If the variable is y, then the line would be parallel to the x-axis, okay? So where can we find y negative 4? This is y negative 4, right? So if I mark this point, can I say negative 4 comma 0? If I mark this point over here, can I say, sorry, my mistake. This is the value of y, right? So this would be 0, negative 4, right? And this would be 7 and negative 4. Apologies for that. Can we say this is minus 6 and minus 4, right? Or if we take another point over here, can we say this is 10 and minus 4? So when we mark the points on this line, that means we can join them together. But since there is no equal sign, this line will still stay as a dotted line because it shows us that this point cannot be included. Okay, this will stay as a dotted line. Now what they are saying is the value of y is greater than negative 4, right? Greater than negative 4 would mean we have two options. Either it could be, let's suppose we take a number over here, negative 2, or negative 8? Is negative 2 greater than negative 4 or negative 8 is greater than negative 4? We know that negative 8 is not greater than negative 4, right? It's less than negative 4. So what we shade is we shade the area that is above this graph, right? So we shade this area and we represent that any value in the area above the given inequality will have the possible answers, right? So we can select any point from this given area because in the shaded given area, any point will have the value of y, right? Y will be greater than negative 4. It could be negative 3, it could be negative 2, negative 1, 0, and a positive value. But all those values would mean they are greater than negative 4. Okay, so let's see if this is clear. Let's move on to the next question. Are there any questions regarding this? Just remember that since there is no equal sign, it will stay as a dotted line. Okay, for the next question that we have is, okay, let's say this is the next question we have. And the given information is this. We take this value, we just simply put it down and we pick up the inequality, make it readable. Okay, so for question number 6, it says we need to graph the inequality where x is less than equals to 7, right? So when we see an equal sign, it means it's a bold line. Bold line means it's not a dotted line, right? So let's see where is the value of x is equals to 7. Can we find the point where x was 7? X is 7 over here. So we can say this coordinate is 7 comma 0, x comma y. If we take this point, we can say 7 comma 4. If we take this point, we can say 7 comma 9. Or if we take this point, 7 and negative 5, right? So we know that whenever the line variable x is used, the line will be parallel to the other axis, right? So if the equation is, if the inequality is in terms of x, then the line will be parallel to the y-axis, okay? So let's join these points together. Why am I not making a dotted line? Because it has an equal sign in the inequality. X is less than equals to 7, right? So this will be a bold line, right? We write this equation, x is equals to 7. The equation of this line that is parallel to the y-axis. What are the lesser values? See, if I pick a number over here that is 8 or 6, which is less than 7? Is 6 is less than 7 or 8 is less than 7? 8 is not less than 7, right? Do we agree on that? 8 is greater than 7. So what we shade is the region where 8 is less than 7 or 6 is less than 7, right? That would justify the given inequality. So we shade this region, and this region would mean we can have any point within this region and also on the line because the line is not dotted, right? It means it's a borderline and it is included. Do we agree? Are there any questions regarding this? Because right now we are just doing one inequality, right? Later on, there would be multiple inequalities on the same graph. Okay, let's see the next question. It says y is greater than equals to negative 5. Okay. They're saying that y is greater than equals to negative 5. Let's copy paste first. This is given y is greater than equals to negative 5. Let's resize this. Let's plot. This is question number 7, right? So what they are saying is y is less greater than equals to negative 5. When we see an equal sign, that means it would be a bold line. That means negative 5 would be included. And since we are using y over here, that means the line would be parallel to the x-axis. Can we find negative 5? Can we say this is negative 5? Can I say that the coordinate for this point is 0, negative 5? If I put a point over here, can I say this is 6 and negative 5? Or if I take a point on this side, can I say minus 8 and minus 5, right? What we can see is that the value of y is constant, that is negative 5, irrespective of the value of x. Okay, so now once we have assumed or we have supposed a few points where the value of y was a constant, negative 5, we can draw the line. Since it has an equal sign as well, the line will be a bold line. We can say the equation of this line is y equals to 5, sorry, negative 5. That would be a negative 5. Y equals to negative 5. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to shade a region where y is greater than or equal. Equal we have already done, right? With the bold line. Equal is justified with the bold line. Now we need to find that y is greater than minus 5. So let's just look at the numbers across. Is minus 4 greater than minus 5 or minus 6 greater than minus 5? When we go to the negative side of the number line, the negative the number, the smaller it is, right? So we can say minus 6 is not greater than minus 5, right? But this part is true. So what we do is we simply shade this given region. So any point in this region would justify the given inequality. Any point in this region will have the value of y to be greater than or equals to 5. Agreed? And we can also show that this line was parallel to the x-axis. Oh, sorry, x-axis, right? The equation of y is always parallel to the opposite axis, that would be x-axis, and equation of x will be parallel to y-axis. Agreed? Do we have an agreement? Okay, thank you. Let's move on ahead. Let's see. So the next question we have is graph the inequality x is less than minus 2. Let me just copy this. Okay, let's remove this part. And this was the inequality given. And this is question number 8. So it says x is less than negative 2, right? It does not have a equal sign. So this would be a dotted line. Okay, this will be a dotted line. So can we say that we find the value of x to be minus 2? Where is x negative 2? X is negative 2 here. We're just supposing this would be negative 2 comma 0. This would be negative 2 comma 5, right? We're just assuming some points. This would be negative 2 comma 10, or if we take on the negative side, it could be negative 2 comma negative 6, right? We know that we do not have an equal sign. That means it has to be a dotted line. So let's make the dotted line passing through these points. So once we have drawn the dotted line, we can say that this dotted line will include the values which are not included, would not be included in the inequality because x was less than equals to minus 2. So we can write the equation x is equals to minus 2 and x is less than minus 2. So let's compare. Is minus 4 less than minus 2 or 0 less than minus 2? 0 is greater than minus 2, right? So simply what we do is or we shade the region which justifies the inequality. Any value on the left hand side of the line would be smaller than negative 2, right? So we simply shade and we show this. This is the given answer. Any questions, anyone up till now? If you have any queries, do let me know. Okay, for the next question, it says graph the inequality of x is greater than minus 3. Okay, let me just copy this. Sorry. And I'll remove this part. Okay, this is our question number 9. And it says the inequality given is x is greater than negative 3. We only have a greater over here. It's not an equal over here. We cannot see an equal. So if the equation is in terms of x, then it should be parallel to the y-axis, right? Like the previous one. Equation in terms of x will be parallel to the y-axis. Where do we see negative 3? We see negative 3 here. We see over here. Let's mark a point, minus 3 comma 5. If we have this point, minus 3 comma minus 6, right? Because a coordinate is always written in the form of x comma y, right? So what we can see over here is the value of x is a constant throughout, right? 2 points are more than enough to draw a line, but we take more than 2 points just to prove that the given value of x in this question, that was minus 3, is constant throughout. 3 points would also verify. 2 points can make a line. So we do more than two, at least 3 points, just to prove that what we are doing is correct. Okay. So okay, since does not have an equal sign, then it would be a dotted line. Agreed? So let's make a dotted line over here. Okay, we can say this is a dotted line, and we can also say that this line is parallel to the y-axis. We can write down the equation of this line. The equation of the line would be x is equals to 3. We need to shade the area where x is greater than minus 3, right? Let's simply just pick up the 2 points. Is minus 6 greater than minus 3, or 2 greater than minus 3? We just selected two random points, right? Minus 6 is not greater. Minus 6 is less than, right? This is not true. That means what we would shade is the area on the right side. Okay, this is the area that we would need to shade. Any value on the right side of the line of line x is equals to 3 will have the value of x that is greater than minus 3. It could be minus 2, minus 1, 0 till 10 and so on. But it will not be ever equal to minus 3 because we don't have an equal sign, or it cannot be less than minus 3 because the inequality says it is a greater than sign. Okay, let's try a question more. Then we'll try to go to the quiz or the test. Okay, so the next question says, just a moment please, I'll copy it on the screen. So for the next question that we have is question number 10, and it says graph the inequality, okay, between dotted lines, and it says select and shade a region. I'm just using the information that we require, okay? So if this was question number 10 and the given inequality was y is greater than equals to 6. So that means this would be a, since it has an equal sign also, this will be a bold line. Agreed? Since this is an equation in terms of y, so it should be parallel to the x-axis, right? So this is the basic information that we have already derived just by looking at the inequality. Okay, so now let's try to plot y is equals to 6. Okay, that means on the line y equals to 6, the value of y would always be constant. Can we say this is the point where the value of y was 6? So can we say this coordinate is 0 comma 6? If we take another point over here, can we say 6 comma 6? And if we take a point over here, can we say negative 8 for the value of x comma 6, right? So what we can say over here is that on this line, the value of x is constant, that is 6. Agreed? X can change, but y will not change. Y will stay as a constant. Sorry, I'll use a different color so that it's visible. Okay, y is constant, whereas x can be any other variable. Okay, and we know that this line would be parallel to the x-axis. What they are saying is x is greater than equals to 6. So if we take this number, can we say 8 is greater than equals to 6? Or if we take this number, 4 is greater than equals to 6. So which of these values are correct? We can say that 4 is not greater than equals to 6, right? But 8 is greater than equals to 6. So if we take 9, 10, 10 is still greater than 6, right? So what we can do is we can shade the region that is above the line. So any point in this shaded region will justify the given inequality, that is y is greater than equals to 6. Okay, I hope there are no more queries. If there are any queries, I'm waiting. Please let me know right now so that I would answer them. Okay, otherwise I would go to the test and I would want you people to answer those for me. Okay, so 8-5, let me just give a minute. Grade 9's chapter 8, lesson number 5. We need to go to the test. So the first question in the test is, I'll just copy the question, then I will give the answers as well, right? So the first question for the test is, says, I'll give a heading for the test so that we are able to differentiate where the test begins. And this was the first question, question number 1 from the test. The inequality given is y is greater than equals to minus 5. This is the inequality given. And the answer options for the answer are, we have two options, and they say that we can shade from -5 down and -5 up. Okay, we'll look at these options later, but we would try to solve it on our own first. Okay, we know that. I'll do one example with you. Okay, then the other ones I would want you to do yourselves. See, if this equation, this inequality is given as this, so we can write this as y is greater than -5, and we can also write y is equals to -5. We know that whenever it's an equal sign, we say we draw a bold line or a solid line, right? We will draw a solid line. Where is the value of y? -5. Since this is an equation in terms of y, the line would be parallel to the other variable, that is x. So can we find where is y -5? Y was -5 over here, right? So we can say 0, -5. We are just assuming random points on this line. So can we say 7 and -5? And if we take another point over here, can we say -4 and -5? So what we can see over here is that the value of y is constant throughout, even though the value of x is changing. And since it had an equal sign, we will have a bold line. Agreed? That is would be parallel to the x-axis because the equation was in terms of y. So it says y is greater than equals to -5, right? Greater than -5 would mean, let's pick up two numbers. Is -4 greater than -5 or -6 greater than -5? We just selected these two numbers, right? Across the line. We say that in case of negative numbers, the bigger the number with a negative sign, the smaller it is, right? And the number that is closer to the zero is a bigger number. So we can say that this is not true. Eventually, we can shade this defined region, right? This would be the region that is justified by the given inequality. So once we have this, let's look at the answer. It says shade from -5 down or shade from -5 up. We are shading -5 up, right? So that means option B is the correct answer, right? For the next question, I was just explaining how we would do this question. For the next question, I would want you to do it. Shade from -5 up. Okay. And the next question we have is, it says graph this inequality and select a point. Okay, just a moment, please. So this is our next question, question number 2 from the test. And the inequality given is x is greater than equals to 6. And the given options are, these are the two given options. Can you please tell me which option is the correct answer? Option number A or option number B? And once you have told me, then I will do this question. Okay. Do we see an equal sign? Yes, there is an equal sign, right? That means it would be a solid or a bold line. The equation is in terms of x. That means the line would be parallel to the other axis, that is y. Okay. So what we can simply do is, oh, sorry, I'll give you some time to do it. Just give me an answer, option A or option B. Okay, it says left and right. Left and right, right? So when we are looking at a page, this is the left hand side and this would always be the right hand side. Okay. So which side should we shade? We know that x was greater than equals to 6, right? We have an equal sign. So we can say that This line would be parallel to y. This was x is equals to 6. Is 8 greater or is 4 greater? 4 is not greater, right? 8 is greater. So simply we shade this area where the values of x were greater than 6. So which side, what should be the answer? Side left or side right? Yes, thank you. It should be side right. Okay. So all we need to do is we need to remember that if there is an equal sign, it would be a solid line. Yes, thank you so much for your answer. If there is an equal sign, that means we make a solid line. If the equation has x as the variable, then the line would be parallel to the y-axis. If the equation has y as the variable, then the line would be parallel to x-axis, right? And we simply see, we pick up points on either side of the line and we say, if this is greater, this is smaller. If we needed the greater, then 8 was greater, we shade on the right side. Okay. I hope there are no more queries. Okay. Please do the remaining questions in the test. Not very difficult. Okay. Give it a try and best of luck with that. Okay. Take care. Have a nice day and best of luck. Bye.